So we got UFC 312 this weekend. Sean Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis 2. Dricus defending the 185-pound belt. Then we got Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez for the 115-pound women's champion. That's a fight I've been looking forward to for a minute. Anxious to see Tatiana Suarez get her title shot. I've been preaching it for a minute that she's the uncrowned champion. As long as she's healthy, I think she could be 125-pound champion, 115-pound champion. I feel like there's not a lot of dominant wrestlers in the women's division. But then the rest of this card, pretty weak. No name value. The main card, not the best main card. Hopefully it delivers. A lot of the time, these type of fight cards where it's not a lot of name value, the guys wind up putting on. It winds up being some good matchups, but not a lot on this one. The undercard's terrible. The main card, the three fights that they put on the main card with the two big fights is Taliesin Teixeira versus Justin Tafa. Justin Tafa should not be on the main card. That fight's terrible. Hopefully Teixeira winds up being a big prospect at heavyweight, and this is a showcase fight for him. But Jimmy Crute versus Bellato definitely shouldn't be on the main card as well. That's a prelim fight. Jake Matthews versus Prado should be a pretty good one, but again, to kick off the pay-per-view, which is where I think they have that one, I do like Tom Nolan versus Slava Claus. That one should be a good one. We got Taporia's brother making his UFC debut, but not a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to focus on the two main fights. Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez. Definitely looking forward to this one. One fact I noticed was Weili's 35, so 35 is never a good age for a title fight. It's never a good age for a fight in general. And she hasn't fought yet since she turned 35. So this could be the end of Weili if the age, the drop off at 35, especially in title fights, continues. We might see and new for Tatiana Suarez. She's 34, but she doesn't have as many miles as Weili. She's missed a lot of time because of injuries, but they have Weili at a plus 100 underdog. Tatiana's minus 120. I think Tatiana Suarez's wrestling is going to take that one. I think she'll be able to hang enough on the feet with Weili, and I think her wrestling, just the transitions, the chain wrestling, I think she'll be able to take rounds in that fight. It's going to come down to cardio between these two girls, and I'm going Tatiana Suarez in that. I think American wrestling has shown that it usually prevails, especially at that level. I think Tatiana Suarez would have more credentials if she didn't go through, I think she had cancer and some injuries and always had some issues going on, but she would have definitely medaled in the Olympics most likely. And that's how I know of Tatiana Suarez. My old wrestling coach, Kyle Sermonara, knew Tatiana, said she was really good. She was always on like the Olympic ladder and in the high level wrestling room. She was definitely one of the better females representing American wrestling for women. So the biggest factor, I think, is the 35 and the statistics that show that you don't win fights after 35. You don't win championship fights after 35. So I think this is going to be a tough fight for Weili, and definitely leaning towards Tatiana Suarez in this one. Then the main event, Strickland. It's always nice to have a Strickland fight week. You always get his media, his interviews, his crazy shit that he says. So far this week, we've seen him beefing with Kamzat. He said Dricus is a retard, fights like a retard. He said a lot of the older UFC fighters are either drunk or retarded. He gave props to Luigi, the guy who shot the uh, insurance CEO. Was very pro Luigi all week. He made the front page of the Australian newspapers saying that they hope he gets knocked out. I saw a lot of media outlets going after him, saying how he's just, he's Sean Strickland. He came in with the handlebar mustache, so, and just was going nuts at media day. Every interview I've seen, it's just, a Sean Strickland fight week. He's always going to say some crazy shit, and he always comes to fight. So he's never in a boring fight. I know some people don't like that style. They think it's a little bit of point fighting, or that he doesn't go for the KO, but it's tactical. It's a game of tag. You don't get hit and land some shots. That's how you gotta fight. You gotta try to protect your brain, and I think that's what Strickland's doing. He does get some knockdowns. He has gotten some knockouts, but when you're fighting the best in the world, that he's definitely fighting these last few fights, it's tough to get knockouts. You got guys like Pereira. He's an outlier. Guys who do get knockouts at that highest level and in championship fights and contender fights, those are outliers. It's very tough to stop the best guys in the world. And I think we saw it last time when these two fought. They were both going after it, but they're just both durable guys. So Dricus Strickland rematch. Dricus won the first fight. Could have went either way. It was close. I think they said it came from a headbutt, but the blood over Strickland's eye definitely made the scoring probably lean a bit more towards Dricus. I think Dricus. I remember I saw the clip of Izzy and Robert Whitaker talking about Dricus. They said he's like the best shit fighter, and how he just looks terrible. He's slow, but it just works for him. We haven't seen him lose yet in the UFC. He wins fights. It's a little unorthodox. I don't know if it's so much shit as it is just unorthodox, and when you see it in front of you, you just don't think it's going to work. And then before you know it, he's hit you in the face a few times and gotten on top of you. And he's coming off a win over Izzy. And I'm leaning towards Strickland in this fight. I feel like the couple of adjustments he can make off the first fight, but it's tough. Strickland's an underdog. I saw him at, what is he at? Plus 180. They got Dricus at minus 218. Strickland's 33, Dricus is 31, so they're both still in their prime as far as fighting goes. It's a tough one to pick considering Dricus won the first fight and Strickland was champion, lost the belt, didn't get to defend the belt. Like the expression is, it's always easier to become champion than it is to stay champion because you're fighting the best guys. You're always going to get the number one contender or a hungry contender. You're more than likely going to get someone's best the night that they're fighting for a title for the first time. But yeah, it's hard to stay champion. So we'll see if Dricus is able to. But I like Strickland. I've always been a fan of Strickland. But Dricus has really grown on me. I've become a fan of Dricus. I love that video. He completely won me over when I saw that video of when they asked him how many Alexa Grassos he can fight. And he was like, all of them. And then he went over his technique of how he'd fight him, and he just put his hands up and started licking. So he made me laugh with that one. He made me a fan with that one. And then his fighting, again, unorthodox, but he gets it done. So I can't be mad at an unorthodox fighter. Like Anderson Silva was unorthodox. We've seen a lot of fighters that rose to the top with just an unorthodox style, and not so much the cleanest technique in Dricus, but it works for him. He's long, he's durable, he's tough. I remember in the beginning, the perception was that he kind of had a cardio problem, but he seems like he not only solved that, but also even when he looks tired now, he's still going. He's got heart. So I think him and Strickland, both tough, durable guys, heart, both game, both show up fight night. I think this one's going to be good. The second go round, usually when the guys now know each other a little bit more, this is round 6 basically. They will be able to both make a little bit of adjustments from the last fight. They both know what to expect from the other guy. They both know they're in for a dog fight. I think this one's going to be good. Again, undercard's terrible. I think these main two fights, the Weili Zhang fight versus Tatiana and the Dricus versus Strickland fight, I think those fights are going to deliver, make the pay-per-view worth buying. And if I have to choose, I'm going two new champions. I'm going Tatiana is going to take the 115-pound belt from Weili, and I think Strickland is going to take back the 185-pound belt from Dricus. I wouldn't be surprised if Dricus surprises me, though. He's been on a roll lately, and he's younger, and that as Robert Whitaker and Izzy said, that shit style, that unorthodox style works for him, and it's tough to deal with a lot of times, especially for like a guy like Strickland. He's seeing clean technique and high level shit every day in the gym that when you get in there with Dricus and it's a little unorthodox, it's tough to deal with. But I'm going Strickland. I think he pulls off the upset. Tatiana's a slight favorite, but I'm going to call that an upset too. I think they both walk away with the belts. This fight's in Australia. I thought that this fight would be like a daytime fight, but they're fighting at night, so I think that could factor in a little bit too. I think they'll be fighting early in the morning, which, if I'm not mistaken, it's a good time for Weili. It'll be a different time for Tatiana and a different time for Strickland. So they would have to adjust their training, their sleep habits, like everything that they're going to be fighting on a whole different clock. So we'll see how that plays out. But if gun to my head, I got to make a choice. I'm going Tatiana Suarez and Strickland. And then on the undercard, I'm just not a Justin Taffa fan. So I'm going to root for Talison Teixeira, Jimmy Crute versus Bellato. I mean, shouldn't be on the main card again. I'm going to go Bellato. Jake Matthews versus Prado. I like Prado. He's game. He swings. He tries to get knockouts, but I think Jake Matthews probably gets that one done. Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. Could be a good one. That's the main prelim. I'm going to go for Jack Jenkins in that fight. Tom Nolan versus Slava Claus. I think Slava Claus gets that done. I see Tom Nolan's been on a roll lately, but I'm going to go Slava Claus in that one. Connor Wang versus Bruna Brazil. Don't know enough about both of those females. If I'm going off who I'd bang, I think it would be Kong Wang. The picture that she has up on Topology, she looks good. But wait, let me see. Bruna Brazil. Let's see. I mean, she don't look too bad either. But again, women's fighting is so hard to predict. There's very rarely a fight where it's 100% because women just don't always perform up to the odds. Then you got Taporia's brother fighting Colby Thickness. You got to go Taporia's brother, but I think Thickness is a tough fighter as well. Everything I've seen on him. And I think this fight, too, is going to have Topuria, Ilya in his brother's corner, and I think Alex Volkanovski is going to be in Thickness's corner, if I'm not mistaken. Cody Steele versus Rong Zhu. I'll go Cody Steele in that. He's undefeated. Probably remains undefeated. Rong Zhu's got 6 losses, so he knows how to lose at this point. Kevin Jousset versus Jonathan Mikalev. I think I'll lean towards Jousset. Quaylen Saclid versus Ashul Jubli. Both 7-1. I think I'll go with Quaylen Saclid, if I pronounce that right. He's from Australia, so a backyard fight for him. But again, not a lot of name value on that undercard. Main attraction for this card is those 2 main fights, which I think they'll both deliver. And UFC 312. I'm looking forward to it. Excuse my voice in this video. Getting over the flu. Still a little bit under the weather. I was hoping to get this video out sooner, but I got it out now. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know who you're picking. You going with Strickland? You going with Dricus? Do you think Tatiana takes out Weili? Let me know what you guys think. And be sure to click that like button, that subscribe button, and check out this video. Check out all my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Well, see you later.